Hello and welcome back to Rougefx. I will be adding commentary over today's Hindsght-Testing session. I've gotten a lot of comments the last couple of days, or over the last couple of days. A lot of people are confused, a lot of people aren't getting it, and a lot of people aren't understanding where I'm getting my information from. Not maybe 1 to 2 weeks ago, I dropped my official Forex trading course, Roguefx. I'll admit it's not the best put together, but it is, made for overall simplicity. With the right mindset, with the right experience, it can definitely lead to an overall profitable strategy. However, what people aren't getting is it took me well over 4 years to perfect this strategy. I feel like as a trader, we all have that specific thing we are good at, that specific few setups or something that we resonate highly on more of a personal or individual level. It kind of just sparks that I guess you could say piques your interest as a Forex trader. What I want you to understand is it's going to take time. You're going to have to lose in order to understand where exactly liquidity is, how to recognize an inducement, and how to differentiate, especially when you're trading live market and you're forced into making fast-paced decisions. Understand it's going to be tough, and that's why I call it a journey for a reason, because it's not necessarily just a holy grail. You do this 1, 2, 3 step and you're profitable. And I also don't include the time frames of any kind of chart, because this is a universal pattern. It can literally be used on the 1 minute to 5 minute or 15 minute down to the seconds time frame. It really just depends on your overall range. People don't understand that, and it's because they haven't taken the time to actually study. They're still looking for the holy grail. They're still looking for whatever they feel they haven't, obviously found yet, which is, if it's not price action, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the most relevant because it's not on the chart, right? If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring that post notification bell, stay updated with all our videos. Without further ado, let's start this session. Okay, so I'm just going to pretty much point out what I see, and that's just going to be what I see, right? If I'm a Forex trader, I feel like I have that specific or few setups that I see, and if I can make sense of it, I will definitely point them out. If I can't, then I will not pay attention to it, because obviously there's nothing to see if I don't see it, right? Moving on, I see a possible structural high. Could be possibly a liquidity grab of some sort. Price is obviously rating this strong high to a certain extent, retest and continue, and I don't necessarily see something or a break too drastic, so we're gonna call this maybe nothing too eye-opener. However, I do see this choach. Definitely use that. What did price do? Price continued, left buy side liquidity. It's looking like we left a trend line that led to an overall inducement play. We got a block right here. Price reacted off of after, of course, failing to break this low. What does that make this? That now makes this 8-week low. It looks like we have a liquidity grab. That'll make that high strong. Anything left? Seems like we have another failure. Get rid of that because it's still apparent. What does price do? Price retrace, because we're definitely still bearish. We're definitely still making lower highs. Okay, so we have this trend line situation, and above that, it kind of makes me believe since we have a breaker right here, price reacted off of, and then obviously with that, taking out liquidity, establishing a strong high, and any. Let's see, we got a failure swing. Let's see something real quick. Okay, so we have a price rebalance. So price, obviously took out liquidity, continued lower, took out yet another week low, and it seemed to have created a type of liquidity pool of some sort. If I pull this back. If anything, smart money played a pretty smooth role in this rally towards the highs. So I would think AMD pattern, right? Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. What does price do? Rebalances price to the left, taking out this weak low or slanted low to a certain extent. Okay, so as you can see, price took out sell side liquidity. What's left? What's above? I guess what would be next in the cycle? Buy side liquidity, right? So when we're talking about buy side liquidity, what do we see to the left? That is more easily targeted to a certain extent, but not even that. Where is pretty much where's the liquidity? Where is liquidity located? Well, above these slanted or equal, you can call this equal, right? More of like a trend line. And if we measure it out, you can see that price definitely took that high out as liquidity. But above that, you can see that we have an unmitigated wick. And if you really use your imagination, we have a rejection block. So maybe we had a type of, so like fair value, right? That price was obviously, I don't want to say leading to, but maybe drawing to. Yeah. So we can actually trade. This is mad tradable, especially with our, our routine or strategy that we have. So price, obviously, performed a liquidity grab, choke, as well as maybe even a break of a structural high. Price, what to do straight after that? Obviously, retrace and reaches for a type of liquidity, of course. Let me see. Seems like Smart Money had yet another, yet another played a pretty significant role in this long rally. Let me see. So yeah, it seems like Price performed its Smart Money trap and took out any obviously early buyers as long as sellers in the market. Yeah, this is going to be a textbook setup, most definitely, most definitely. So yeah, at this point we could probably start expecting lower prices. Of course, we have a gap, which is I mean it would look confusing to the average trader or however these are very easily explained. So as you can see, price actually broke structure at this point. Price came from obviously reacting to this supply area to obviously failing to break this low. What does that make this low? Makes it pretty weak, as well as that trend line being fairly apparent. So we already have that direction of bias kind of set out. We have our range. Price obviously leading or needing to in a sense retrace to where internal range liquidity, where's internal range liquidity kind of act as of right. So we have basically a liquidity grab, we have a choke to a certain extent, and maybe like a retest. And then price kind of just stalled, and then we had just pretty much just gap. But what you gotta understand is price is actually doing something to a certain extent, right? What did price actually leave towards? I want to say towards supply area. What kind of liquidity did it leave? Well, if you look closely, we have what seems to be a pretty smooth block. If you want to zoom in, and like I said, this is just giving your like subconscious like I guess reassuring it every day. And this is like I said, this is not going to take just one go around of hindsight testing, and then like this is going to take your time. And if you're not willing to, I don't recommend picking up forex as maybe like I don't even want to call this a hobby because it's definitely not a hobby. And if you use it as a hobby, you're probably going to be not very much well off. Yeah, so price obviously uses this as a bit of a POI. You can definitely put your stop above that. I mean, for me personally, I'm gonna use this breaker that's above it, and that would just be smooth. Um, yeah, and then where we target external range liquidity. Oops, external range liquidity as well as I mean, if you're really trying to just intraday slanted lows, right? What happens after that? Okay. Seems like price created a broke structure retested, created a. Okay, so price created a strong high, weak low situation. I might actually have to. I might have to zoom in for this. Actually, probably not. If you just want to kind of like pay attention closely to this bit of corrective behavior, price took out a weak low, retest to take out internal range liquidity to the left, and what did it use as a POI? I would say this unmitigated wick of this pin bar, and it would have given you a pretty fair premium pricing. And where do you target? Obviously, fix your stop above that high. And where do you target? Okay, so price took out buy side liquidity, and what was already down here? Well, first we have maybe a kind of a smart money trap. Imagine how many smart money traders would have thought this order block or imbalance or price inefficiency was um, I want to say strong, right? Who would have thought that this week, or I'm sorry, well, in a sense, this week low was actually strong and said, maybe we're going to continue this rally higher to higher prices, and then eventually it didn't. So again, that's liquidity. Mark that as liquidity, and as you can see towards the left, we have something very, very interesting, right? Why did price react or to this, obviously key level or price range, price area, whatever you want to call it, honestly? If price gave us a liquidity grab, we have a choke, and then continuation that never really came back. It seems like we have, I see a block, but if I stretch it and use my imagination to kind of like understand what price is kind of like coming from, it looks like we have a bit of an unmitigated wick that is yet to be mitigated, right? So what did price do? Price targeted this area as liquidity. Why? Because, well, imagine the liquidity that was in this trend line, or the liquidity that was possibly within this slanted low, or maybe the liquidity that was, I mean, it could have been any kind of liquidity. Just understand though that it's just liquidity in this area, and it can be again as small as an imbalance or price inefficiency. Price taps here, reacts, creates a bit of a choke, retest, continues higher, and at that point, price kind of just, I want to say, rallies, and in search of what. Well, we took out external range liquidity. So what's next? Oh well, internal range liquidity, right? Because that's the range cycle. So let me see. I want to see. I'm very intrigued about what happened along this area. So, seems price. Okay, okay. So we did actually have a structural break to a certain extent. Price left its footprint and continued higher. Again, this is just understanding our rules at a mastery level. We have a price break. What does that mean? Well, this high that broke this high break this high? No. So what does that make this high? It makes it a weak high. So what does price do? Use as a target to a certain extent, right? So what would be our pretty much our range? Well, we have a strong low and we have a weak high that had been formed. We could actually use this as a weak high. I mean, it wouldn't make a difference. It's just a weak high, right? It's a structural high that is obviously target. So where's the logical place that we can take partials or at least take a any kind of profit? Well, if you look left towards, I mean, we took out sell side liquidity. Price, obviously had this impulse down. So after that, price had to rally back or rally higher to where internal range liquidity to the left. So if you didn't take your prices at this slanted low, you probably took your profits at, I want to say, this structural high, maybe that pin bar, or I'm gonna be honest. Price went to where it performed a whole liquidity grab in general. Maybe use this actual structural high as no. That's definitely a strong high. So if anything, price here. Look, if anything, price used this unmitigated wick as in a sense liquidity, and it's possible, and you're gonna, as I keep making these videos, you're gonna understand why that it's so apparent that a wick as small as that could be used as an entry or maybe a take profit. But yeah, on the way up there, it seems that price continued into a bit of a ascending channel, which is fine because what happens? Price creates its strong low, weak high. That means that any weak or any high that is formed of this strong low is going to be weak, right? So what does that mean? Well, it's obviously going to get targeted and rated, right? So if we really take time to dissect this price action, you can see that we have our strong low. Price seems to have created a choke as well as a break of structure. I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty nice trick I picked up. I can definitely see myself taking this one only because it just uses price as a smooth retracement and then continues higher. However, I do understand this is a weak high, and I would not be obviously holding it towards for a swing or something or anything too crazy. And if you look before that or below that, you can see that price has created a cluster pretty much of what? Of order blocks, of block. These are all different blocks, and these blocks are they act as liquidity. They act as price manipulation to extend price to take out those smart money orders that think that this or these breakers, or not even necessarily a breaker, but again, blocks are just amazing points of reference or point of interest, of course, and they're not. They're obviously traps, and of course, you can see at this point, you can definitely see what's going on. Um, so yes, this is definitely a trend line. Maybe yeah. Let me see. Let me see. I can do that a lot better. Hopefully, I can. Um, yeah, it's a lot of blocks. Yep. Okay, for sure. So that trend line acted as liquidity, left a footprint for liquidity traders to enter the markets soundly and pretty much gracefully. At that point, price failed to create or break this initial high. Use it as more of like a liquidity grab, I'm sure. Yeah, premium pricing. Retested, took out internal range liquidity, being maybe like a trend line, and probably use this block as liquidity. I'm gonna go ahead and add that order as well. It's pretty nice, and we can understand where we can actually put our stop loss in a safe manner and adjust to our overall trading plan. Right, adjust our trading plan. So as you can see, price took out overall internal liquidity, and at this point, where are we going? Where is our clear direction? External liquidity, right? Or at least this low that is very much unliquidated, right? So price took out buy side liquidity up here, right to the left, and what's next? Price left a smooth trend line, smooth evidence that we're definitely headed toward the lows. Um, we have our overall strong high, weak low, and this would be our new high. Took out liquidity towards the left, or at least mitigated. Well, no, you could say mitigated our previous POI and took out liquidity towards the left. Um, what does price do from here? Let me see. This would probably be the last range we actually go over, and then I'm gonna call it quits, just for the night. Let's see, connect that. Okay. Okay, so it seems like price reacted to this premium pricing area, taking out liquidity and retesting what seems to be an unmitigated wick. Can definitely ride that, I guess you can say, drop down. I want to say it'd be a smooth 100 pips. But the beauty of it is, I mean, when you understand price action at a mastery level, or at least a decent level, you can understand why 100 pips could go so far, right? Because, I mean, at that point, you understand compound interest. So at that point, you understand how to an extent, right, these pretty gigantuous waves that are, the Forex markets. So as you can see, we have a retest continuation, and maybe like a liquidity grab. But if anything, like I do like this block that is giving pretty smooth retracement signals to a certain extent, right? So that would be, keep that above that high. And we can definitely target the structural low, right? It's going to be a 3 counter formation. What is that? Liquidity. So yes, we can definitely take that. That's 5%. That's well over 50 pips. And as you can see right here, this is going to be special, right? Because this is going to give you a pretty much an ideal understanding of how fractal these markets are, and how crazy and how unlimited this strategy of mine really is, and how just impactful upon anyone's life. So again, and this is just referring back to a recent L I took, regarding a startup that I did try to start up. I tried to, help people and educate them, but they didn't necessarily take me serious. I feel like I was dealing with a lot of, I don't want to say low ticket clients, but I want to say a lot of retail people that aren't necessarily serious, and that's not the tribe I'm looking to attract. Well, invest my time and energy into, regarding business inquiries, especially if regarding money. I don't want to associate with, that kind of insecurity or, energy. It was just a bad situation. I'm still looking to get over it. It was just I put a lot of time and dedication and effort, and people didn't appreciate it, as I figured, because, they're attached to these really illusions of, in, how, they can trade, or how they choose to trade, or however the case may be. It's not the right way to trade, right? Or else they wouldn't be right within my membership group. So it's a weird situation, but I mean, of course, I'm working past it, and it's okay, because every L is preparing you for that eventual dub, and that's just how I feel about it. So as you can see, price created a strong high to a certain extent, maybe on like the 1 minute, maybe the seconds. Created a 3 counter formation would be what? That would definitely be a weak low. Price runs what seems to be these equal highs. So in an extent, liquidity for sure, as well as definitely retest this unmitigated wick. But I feel like it's deeper than that. If I look left, I can see. Let's see, what can I see? What can I see if I look left? Yeah, so price definitely reached for a type of premium pricing. You could have definitely entered on the 50, as well as in the middle of that, caught a decent risk reward. If you look left, like over here, you can see that there's a smooth structural high that you can definitely use as a resistance. And then obviously target the lows that are overall external range, of course. Of course, we had a bit of an extension, but of course, you got to understand that's normal, especially when you understand that there are sell stops below these lows. And then what happens? Price reverses, takes out, buys out liquidity, and continues lower. I hope this helps you understand the fractal nature of this market. I understand it's very annoying for y'all not to understand the actual time frame I'm trading on, which really I can tell you right now, this is going to be the 15-minute time frame. However, understand that this is anywhere and everywhere. Like, this is probably the same pattern to a certain extent. It looks different because it's on a different time frame. So if I go to like the 1 or the 3 minute, it's going to look that much more different, but it has the same, I guess, concepts that are still being applied. It has the same overall routine, or the same approach that's being applied I don't know how much more simple I can make this for you, but this is just understanding forex or price action at an overall mastery level, and pretty much understanding the endless possibilities that a lot of people are missing out on just because, the ego, not understanding or not necessarily wanting to change, or not, embracing change, understanding that that comes with overall growth. You have to be able to, in a sense, lose yourself to gain a better version, or more informed version, or more enlightened version of yourself. It takes a piece, or it takes, that's, the law of the universe. You cannot give without, taking. You can't take without giving. It's an equal give and change, take exchange, if you might. It's just a lot weird. It's just a lot of weird kind of things going on with this industry, which is fine. I understood there was going to be challenges or whatnot, especially when people taking me serious as, I'm just, starting up. I don't necessarily have the most subscribers or the most, but I can tell you one thing I do have is knowledge, and that is something that can be taken away from me. That is something that I very much do cherish and value. And I will not, I'm not willing to sell myself short because some people want to be, I don't want to say cheap, but unconcerned to a certain extent, especially about their own futures, right? Because again, this is the way, this is how to trade, this is teaching you how to trade, right? And then you have some individuals that are a bit entitled, or a bit, I don't know, it's just weird. I mean, it's okay, it's fine. And it's all love to, I mean, if you are listening to this and you are one of those individuals, it's all love, most definitely. However, what you gotta understand is Forex is, the eighth world wonder. And you gotta understand that this is something that, it takes time, it takes effort, it's not going to be given to you, especially at the beginning. And a lot of the times you're going to want to quit, and that's the part that kind of defines you as a person, right? Because again, you're starting a journey. It's not necessarily just a holy grail, or two-step approach that's going to serve you for life. Doesn't make any, no, it just doesn't work like that. If you did enjoy this video, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that post notification bell, stay updated on all our videos. If you did enjoy this commentary, go ahead and subscribe. I know it took a minute for us to get into the overall flow, but I mean, you gotta understand that, like, when it comes to charts, and when it comes to actually understanding that this is something that you want to do, or trying to do long term, or as a whole career, this is not just a regular job. So to a certain extent, it's going to be uh, at times a bit exhausting, at times a bit frustrating, at times a bit unclear, or maybe even just a bit foggy. So you got to give your time, or give yourself that time to really adjust to what you are seeing, and to the overall price action that you are trying to make sense of, right? That's going to be all for tonight. Until next time on Jody FX, y'all have a good night.